Hey Sam, and welcome to Fun Swedish and our YouTube channel. Today we're going to do another video about the Swedish vowels. Today's vowel is going to be this one. And just like most vowels in Swedish, they look like the English ones, but they sound totally different, which makes it extra complicated. In this video, we're going to go through how this U in Swedish is pronounced because it has different sounds. The Swedish vowel is pronounced like this, U, at least in the alphabet. You can think that it's a little bit like a lazy version of the O, because if you remember from the previous video about the O is pronounced like this, ooh, you make a circle with your lips. But the U, on the other hand, we do a less of a circle. We just do like U, U, U. It's almost like you're saying you, kind of, but a little bit softer. U. So not like ooh, no, it's U. Let's compare these two so you can hear the difference. Ooh, circle. U, lazy. Ooh, U. Ooh, U. But again, this is how it sounds in the alphabet and in some words, but not in all words, because the U, has also different sounds that we're going to talk about in this video. So let's explore the U's different sounds. Normally, you can say that the U has a long sound or a short sound. So how can you tell when it should be long or short? Well, let's go back to this rule we learned in previous videos. Normally, if you have just one consonant coming after a vowel, in this case coming after the U, then the U becomes really long, and that means it's pronounced like in the alphabet, U. On the other hand, if we have more than one consonant coming after the U, then normally this U becomes short. So it can kind of sound more like an U, U. We're going to see different examples in words of this long and this short U, so you can understand better how you should pronounce it. There's always some exceptions to this rule, normally borrow words, compound words or conjugations. But in general, this rule applies to most cases, so it's a really good one to remember by heart. Now we're going to look at some examples where you can hear the long version of the U, and the short version of the U, U. We're going to start with the word hus. Hus is how we say house in Swedish. And how many consonants do we have here coming after the U? One, just one. So that's why the U becomes really long. Hus, hus. On the other hand, we also have the word buss, buss. Here we have more than one consonant coming after. We have actually two. So that's why the U becomes really short. Buss. Let's say these two words again and compare them to each other. Hus, buss, hus, buss. U, hus, buss. Hus, buss. Another example of this long version and the short version of the U is in the word ut. Ut. Ut is how we say out in Swedish. And here the U is really long because we're just one consonant coming after the U. Ut. Then on the other hand, we have the word upp. Upp. Here the U is really, really short because we have two consonants, more than one coming after. Upp. So let's compare these two together. Ut, upp, ut, upp. Another very useful word with a long U is the word kul. Kul. Here the U is really long because we're just one consonant coming after. Kul is how we say fun or sometimes nice. Depends a little bit on the situation. But for example, if a Swede tells you vad kul, when you tell them maybe about your vacation, then it means how nice or how fun. So a very useful phrase. And remember, kul in Swedish does not mean cool. It's very similar to English, but it's actually a little bit of a false friend. So kul for us is more like fun or nice. Then, on the other hand, we have the word and the animal uggla. Uggla is how we say owl. You can think about Harry Potter here. Uggla. Here, on the other hand, the U is really, really short because we have more than one consonant coming after. We actually have two G's coming after. So, the word would be uggla. uggla. So let's compare these two. Kul, uggla, kul, uggla. A very useful phrase where you can practice the long version of the U is in the question, how are you? Hur mår du? Hur mår du? Here we have the first word, which is hur, hur. That's how we say how. And here we have just one consonant coming after the R. Then we have mår, which is how we say feel. And then we have du, du. It's how we say you. And it also happens, not always, but sometimes when we have no consonant at all coming after the U, then it also becomes long. Not always, but still it happens quite often. So that's why we have the long version of the U in both of these words. Hur and du. And the whole sentence would be hur mår du? Hur mår du? Let's now look at an exception. We have, for example, the word pub in Swedish. Pub is actually written with just one consonant coming after. So if you would follow the Swedish rule, then the U should be really long. But this is not the case. Here we pronounce it pub. So it's pronounced like a short U, even if it's just one consonant coming after. And this happens very often when we have borrow words. That's normally what can break the rule. Another situation that you can kind of count as an exception of the rule is in compound words. But it actually isn't an exception. It's just that you need to see the compound words as different words. So, for example, we have the word utgång. Utgång. Utgång is how we say exit in Swedish. Exit for people. You can see it on signs, for example, in the metro and the underground. And the word utgång actually consists of two words put together. We have ut and then we have gång. It actually means out walking or out path. It depends how you see it. But if you look at this word altogether, then you will see, there are actually two consonants coming after the U. But you should not see it like that. You should see it as ut is the first word, and then it's just one consonant coming after. It just happened to be two because we put the gång after the ut. But it's actually just one consonant coming after in the ut. So that's why it still becomes long, even if it looks like two consonants coming after. So remember, compound words are always a little bit tricky, and here you need to see them as separate words. So again, utgång, utgång. And the same thing happens with this word, utfart. Utfart. Many people laugh when you see this word, especially if you come from an English-speaking country. But utfart also means exit, but exit for cars. Fart really means speed, which makes it even more hilarious if you compare it to English. But utfart, outspeed, for some reason, this is how we say exit for cars. And you can see it also on signs in the road, for example. Utfart. And also here, the U becomes really, really long, even if it's two consonants coming after. And this is just because you need to see them as separate words. Ut, one consonant coming after. Fart. Utfart. So let's say these two versions of exit together. Utgång, utfart. Utgång, utfart. And then we have come to the last part, and this is very, very important because there are some words where the U, if you say it in the long version instead of the short version, then it changes completely the meaning of the word. So it's very important to pay attention to this part of the video. We have, for example, the word bussig. Bussig can mean different things. Sometimes it's used a little bit like kind or nice. For example, if I say, skulle du kunna vara bussig och ge mig lite vatten? That means, would you be so kind to give me some water? So here, the U is really, really short because we have two consonants coming after. Bussig, bussig. But then we have the word busig. So here the U is really long because we have just one consonant coming after. It looks very similar to the other word, but you need to do the U extra long. Busig. And busig actually means something completely different. It's more like mischievous or naughty for kids, like if you do something you don't behave. So for example, if someone says du är busig, it's kind of you are mischievous or you are naughty. So big difference from kind or nice. It's almost the opposite. So very important to not mix up these two. Bussig, busig, bussig, busig. And then we have the word full. Full has two consonants, so the U becomes really, really short. Full. And full, it is kind of like the English full, but we use it a lot when we drink alcohol. So it can be translated to drunk. So normally if someone says du är full, it means you are drunk. And don't mix this up with the word ful. Ful is how we say ugly. And here we have just one consonant, so the U becomes really, really long. Ful. Maybe you prefer to say that someone is drunk and not ugly. So here it should be ful. So remember, we have full and we have ful. Full, ful. If you like this video, please subscribe and put a like so we can make more videos for you. Tack så jättemycket. Hej då. Vi ses nästa vecka.